Hey, everybody, we're live, and thank you all for tuning into our previous live streams. This one's a special one. I'm with Vinny Espinosa, Zenny62 Media, NFL Hall of Fame specialist and blogger who uh, lives in West Islip, New York.
Long Island, that's correct, right in the
Long
area of Long Island,
Island.
Suffolk County.
And is it fair to classify you as a long suffering Jets fan? Is that fair?
I'm not a Jets fan. I grew up as a Giants fan.
Okay, so you didn't suffer at all. You didn't like heck with them, right?
No, I didn't do either. I just felt pity for them, if anything, because man, ever since I was younger, outside the two AFC Championship berths, I said to myself, the Giants have Eli Manning winning 2 Super Bowls for them, and you have the Jets just in constant purgatory at the quarterback position, hardly making the playoffs, losing season after losing season, devastating injury after devastating injury, just constant negative attention from the local and national media and also fans, both for the thing. Oh my God. Like, I don't know what is it with this team. Maybe Joe Namath actually did make a deal with the devil in 1969. I don't know. When he said that he was guaranteeing it, he was drunk that day. So who knows if people truly believed it. But I will tell you this. Deep down, I'll be honest here.
Yeah.
I'll be honest here. I saw the Jets making the playoffs, but in the back of my mind, I just had a feeling. I just had a tiny little feeling that something would go wrong with Rodgers at some point in time. Maybe an injury scare. But I didn't expect it on the first game of the season, let alone the first drive. Like
4 plays in.
75 seconds. Oh my. I'm sorry for laughing.
He looked like he barely got touched, but he just got touched in the right way.
Yeah, like the way it was done, he was under pressure through those four series, not 4 series, like 4 plays. But it was people saying the turf, it had nothing to do with the turf. It was more so about the pressure that was on him from Leonard Floyd, and he had some calf issues. Mm-hmm. And you could see very closely, if you zoom in, you could see that little that calf, and you see the point where like pops. You can see it like kind of shuffle, like kind of reverberate a little bit, like a little guitar pick. Like prick the guitar, it makes that noise. Like everything just gets released, and like, oh, this seems fine. Then he's down. I said, oh boy, Jet season's over. And so the New York media lied to me. I thought they were going to make the Super Bowl based on how much they were hyping him up. Like, no, Jet's gonna jet. But I will say,
didn't I have them in the Super Bowl?
No, you saw them actually last place in the division.
I saw them at Bills. I said the Bills and not the Raiders. That couldn't be anyway. I thought Bills. That's what I predicted.
Bills Eagles, right?
A Bills, Eagles game. Yeah,
the Eagles winning. You saw.
Yeah, I said that. That's correct. That's what I said. Yeah.
But oh my God, I just was just so stunned seeing that because all this hype for Aaron Rodgers. You have another injury for this guy, legendary quarterback, 4-time MVP, 2010 Super Bowl champion. And honestly, I know that he signed that contract with the Jets. I know he said he planned to be there forever, I guess. But honestly, I would not be shocked if this is it for him, period.
Yeah, I know it's not. That is what brings us to our conversation. Go ahead.
I think, assuming that he doesn't decide to step away, but this is another injury. He's going to turn 40 years old in early December.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we really need to ask ourselves, is this it for Aaron Rodgers' career? Because, Eli retired in 2019. Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees retired in 2020. Ben Roethlisberger retired in 2021. Tom Brady retired last year. Matt Ryan is presumably done from last year. Aaron Rodgers is like the last of that kind of group.
Last of the movie.
Yes, he's the last of that group of like future Hall of Fame kind of quarterbacks from that like 2000s era. And we got to really ask ourselves, with another injury towards him, we don't know. The line isn't getting any better for the Jets. Could this really be it for him? And I don't know. I don't think he wants to go out this way.
Mm-hmm.
But, it doesn't always end pretty. Like, it doesn't always end pretty. Like, look at Steve Young. The last play of his career, like, he got a bad shoulder injury. Yep. Troy Aikman, kind of a similar situation. Dan Marino's last game was a 62-7 blowout loss to the Jaguars in the playoffs. Eli Manning was just benched at that point. Tom Brady the Buccaneers got blown out against the Cowboys, and the Colts for Matt Ryan, they blew a 33-0 lead, and he was shot by that point. Yeah. And, Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles, this is kind of par for the course for a lot of these guys. Not everyone could be like John Elway or Peyton Manning and ride off to the sunset. That almost never happens. And even then, Manning was shot by that point.
Yeah, that's true. So what would you like to do as far as,
in terms of what I think is going to happen with him?
How would you like to handle this situation with him? Yeah.
I would go into the idea thinking that even though I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be with the team, assumedly, let's assume he's going to be there next year as well. Mm-hmm. It's good that it happened early in the season rather than later in the season, so that way he has more time to heal.
Yeah.
But at this age, with an Achilles tear,
that's what I'm thinking. That's the worst. He's been, I said off camera, Aaron Rodgers has been injured 14 times 15 times in 14 years, including 5 times in the last 3 years after a stretch between 2018 and 2021 where he wasn't injured at all. So it looks like the age is creeping up on him, and it's manifesting itself in more and more episodes of these injuries more often. He's had 3 of those injuries in the past year, going back to the fall. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then actually he's had 3 of those injuries. Yeah. And then 4 of those injuries, 4 of the 5. 3 of the 5. 3 of the 5 injuries bunched in this tight window from now going back to last Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a concern. It's literally like, hey, he can't have a good off season because he gets injured. He can't have a good season because he's getting injured. He's getting injured. Mm-hmm. That's what I see. And I was shocked to see that.
Brady going to the age of 45 is an exception to the rule. For the most part, with these quarterbacks that I mentioned, they usually have around a decade and a half as the primary starter for the team. And, it's at this point, 16 years as a starter. I guess you can say 19 years. He was drafted in 2005. He's not going to be like a Brady, because Brady, outside of the ACL tear in 2008, he's been healthy throughout his entire career. Yeah. That's right. Rivers was never injured. Eli was never injured. Ryan had a couple games where he had a leg injury. Roethlisberger had several times where he had injuries, his second to last season had a torn labrum, a torn arm and whatnot. But after the following year, he retired. So it could be a situation like that, like Roethlisberger, but I would not be shocked if he were to retire after this season. And don't worry, he's had an incredible, legendary career, 4-time MVP. He's okay. But if you're the Jets, you really got to look at, future at the quarterback position for not just now, but the future. Now, granted, I don't know if they're going to I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in the first round. At least I'm not expecting them to in 2024. But if they do, it's going to depend on where the Jets are drafting, because assuming that they finish low enough to get a high prize quarterback, they can get one there. And if Rodgers stays for one more season, you could just have him on the bench, almost like how Mahomes was with Alex Smith with the Chiefs, or like how Rodgers was with when he was with Jordan Love as his backup, or when he was backing up Brett Favre. You could easily do that if you're the Jets. But even then, I would still look at the future at the quarterback position, because even Rodgers then was not a long-term answer beyond like a couple of years.
Yeah. So how would you see this playing out? Because I think Jameis Winston's being talked about, and at first I thought it was a good move, but now I'm not so sure. What do you think about Jameis Winston possibly coming in to take his place?
I think you're going to have to work out a trade with the Saints first off, because we got to also look at the Saints. We got to look at the New Orleans Saints depth chart at quarterback. You know, they have Derek Carr, obviously, and right behind him is Jameis Winston as the backup. And then you have Taysom Hill, who's like a tight end slash. Like, you could trade for Jameis Winston, but I don't know if the Saints are going to okay with a trade for Winston. But for Winston, you got to want it if you go over there. But if you go over the Jets, you could get a bit of a pay cut, but you got the chance of starting, which you'd like to see for him. And some people have said that also for like Taylor Heineke with the Falcons or Jacoby Brissett with the Commanders. I don't think those guys are going to want to move on with their backups. What I think is most likely for the Jets is that they get a guy that's currently on the open market that hasn't been signed yet, like Carson Wentz is usually the one that I generally think of. Like, last year he was with the Commanders. He wasn't very good at all. He was pretty bad, but you know, you can just throw him in as like a third string. Maybe you can bring back Joe Flacco. I mean, he was their third string last year and he looked done. So do you want to bring him back? Like, I'm not sure about that. Now people say that maybe they could get Matt Ryan. I don't think Ryan wants to go back there with that bad line. I think he's perfect.
Yeah. My issue with Matt is that he's on the cusp of being the right quarterback, but I think that this scheme exposed how bad he was.
Yeah, the line itself, I would not trust it with that line. He got sacked so often in Atlanta. I don't want to see him.
7 sacks.
What?
Probably more than that. Probably 7 sacks. You counted more. You're saying what?
Yeah, he was sacked a lot in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
He was sacked a lot.
Wow.
He never had a good line.
No.
But so I would say for them, I think you got to look for a veteran on the open market. Like, and Wentz is the one that really comes to mind. I know that some people say, "Oh, bring back Phillip Rivers." Rivers, no way. He's coaching right now in high school, and he's taking care of his 10th kid. I highly doubt it. And people say Brady, come on. Like, he's the minority owner of the Raiders now. He's not coming out of retirement.
Well, here's the thing. I'm wondering if my second thought about Jameis Winston is more like, okay, what do the Saints do if they are without him? Services. Inter was on a 6-day suspension, so he goes, off the left, and then here comes Winston, but he is conceivably not able to play because he's got issues with the Browns' offense. He thinks it's not right for him, but that shouldn't be. I'm just saying that they spend a lot of time saying Jameis and Luke, but it didn't come to pass either. What is it with Jameis Winston that caused them to not want to follow him, in your opinion?
Say that one more time.
What is it with Jameis Winston that caused them not to want to follow him? In other words, to really pump him up as the guy, to be able to replace Rodgers and or for that matter, even pump him up as the guy to really back up Derek Carr. Was like, hey, we're going to get rid of you. And this is what started me to think differently about this, Vinny, because first people were trying to push him out of the door. But I thought, hey, if you actually realize that if you push him out of the door, you have nobody that knows your offense, even Taysom Hill. He knows some of it, right?
And then Taysom Hill is not a backup. He's more like a gadget sort of a player.
Right.
Like you would need a real backup, and if you're getting rid of your backup, I don't think the Saints want to get rid of Jameis, as they're not going to have another backup. Like, what are they going to do? Go and get like someone bottom barrel?
Yeah,
No.
A guy of that talent is not growing on trees. So yeah.
Same with the Brissett. Like, no way. He played great last year without when Watson was out. He was great for the Browns for what he was had to do. Heineke, when he was with the Commanders, he was really good also. There's no way that the Commanders or the Falcons would want to trade those guys. No way at all. Some are also saying Cam Newton. I doubt it. Cam has been out for like almost 2 years, so I don't think they want to go for him, especially as, with that offensive line. I don't know how much more mobile he is at this stage of his career, at stage of his life. So would you really want to take the risk? And also shoulder, that could also be an issue too. Colt McCoy is an option for the Jets. I mean, he was just cut by the. So I could see Colt McCoy. Like, he's someone who's a nice long-time backup. He played pretty well with the Cardinals. The Skins as well, the Giants, the Browns. He is someone that I think could be a really nice, assistant coordinator, a really good mentor. Smooth one of one. How does Hackett work with Jameis? Yeah, because don't forget, Hackett came to the Jets partially because Rodgers was coming.
Right. How does Hackett work with Jameis? Very carefully. I don't see him getting in arguments with him. I don't see him being disagreeable there. I would think are after one goal, and that is to win the championship and win the division and win the division, of course, same thing, but then win the then win the NFC championship and then the Super Bowl. It's that simple.
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, you said it.
Yeah, I agree. Same situation. Like, and I'm looking at the quarterbacks that Hackett had. I mean, when he was at the Jaguars, he had Blake Bortles, but Blake Bortles is already retired. I don't think Brett Hundley was with the Packers when he was there.
Let me get some of these comments here.
Hundley is not even in the league. He's with the XFL now. So
QB injuries are overrated when you have a potential or pocket passer. Then Snowy Left says,
unless of course arm injuries.
Yeah, unless of course you have NFL obligations or whatever that is. And then Calvin Gibson, Cam, more good news. Then stress. Okay. Sorry, I'm mumbling because let me take this off for 1 second. Benny, I just want to. I'm going to mute this for 1 second.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on a second. I can't seem to mute. Oh, there it is.
Hey.
I am fading. Oh, I didn't mean to put that on here. I have to, 1 second. All right, folks, we're going to go through your comments right now. And Winston's about 29.
Yeah, he's around there, like late 20s, almost.
Years younger than Rodgers. how does Hackett work with Jameis? Okay, I think this is a great question. Jameis Winston is now becoming accustomed to ball control passing offense, and in particular Bill Walsh offense. He's been in the Sean Payton installed New Orleans Saints system that Dennis Allen still has with Pete Carmichael, who's a holdover. And you can describe the nomenclature aspect of the Bill Walsh offense in one word: wordy. And I think Jameis I know what Jameis is used to it. So I think he'll fit in right well with what Paul Hackett's trying to do, his concept, and in particular, the nomenclatures and the audible. I think he won't have a problem at all. It's another ball control passing offense system. That's what it is. It'll have some wrinkles in it if the Jets want to go in his direction, so that they can get the best out of his ability to throw great post patterns on a dime, seam routes, and just understands how to move in the pocket and throw his receivers open. What do you think, Benny? Benny, sorry.
I think there would be a bit of some growing pains also for Jameis to get accustomed to Hackett's offense, because it's a brand new offense for him. And like another reason why I'm even skeptical about him even being on, the Jets is because I think the Jets are going to want someone who's going to be, assuming that they're going to ride with Zach Wilson the rest of the way. And I don't know who they're going to want someone who's like a third string material. Like I mentioned, someone like a Carson Wentz or a Colt McCoy, as those are more seasoned backup. Jameis is the guy that you put in as someone who could be your starter, not your backup, but your starter. And the reason why the Saints have him is like really quality luxury.
Yeah.
Like I said, those guys don't go on trees. Those solid, backup types, just in general.
That's true. So now we have Cam. He says be a good move. Your thoughts?
Cam, good move. Again, like when I mentioned Cam Newton, I wonder how at this age his arm is going to be, because he hasn't played the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That's my main issue with, Cam Newton. He hasn't played in 2 years. And he never said he was retiring, but, I don't think anyone's going to sign him at this point. He was not good when he was with the Panthers when he came back there. So I doubt that he's going to be them. Again, Cam is someone you'd put in as the idea to be your starter.
Yeah.
I understand at this point he wouldn't be that, but you don't put in Cam again, Colt McCoy or like Carson Wentz. I know Wentz had that 2017 season, but outside of that, he's been a very fringe backup at this point. So yeah, McCoy or Wentz, I think they'd go with.
He says, X's and O's, and then Gibbs says, Jets fans don't want to be bored with another QB season ticket holders want to win now. Wouldn't Jameis Winston be winning now? That's a confusing statement.
Winston would be someone that you would try to win now if possible. But like I said, I don't think the Saints are going to want to give up on him. Same situation with like Jacoby Brissett or Taylor Heineke. The Commanders and the Falcons are not going to want to give up a premium backup to the New York Jets, especially as they know they're not going to have the guy they're going to get afterwards is not going to be as good as the backup that they trade away. I understand that the Jets lost Aaron Rodgers for the rest of the season. And I also know that Mike White is with the Dolphins now. So even behind him, like who is the backup for the Jets?
Number 8. I just forgot who number 8 is, but that's
number 8 is Aaron Rodgers.
Gosh. Well, then I thought, it was Zach Taylor, right? Aaron Rodgers, Zach, and whoever third string.
Zach Wilson, you mean?
Wilson. Long day, folks. Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson. And who was the third stringer? That's a very good question.
They have no third. They have Tim Boyle on the practice squad.
Yeah, Tim Boyle. Okay.
That's who I think.
He wasn't getting any reps last night, right?
I mean, Tim Boyle started like 3 games with the Lions in 2021.
Sure.
I think they will either promote Boyle and or sign like McCoy or Wentz. I would probably lean more towards McCoy because he was just cut by the Cardinals during, after the preseason, whereas Wentz, he was not picked up by anyone.
Now, NYC needs star power. Won't that be Aaron BUGs? I don't know what that means, the BUGs part. What do you think about that?
It won't be Aaron, but you got, I don't know.
Okay.
It won't be Aaron.
Got it. And next we have Snow left. Thanks, Zen. Not too familiar with Hackett, so just wanted to get your opinion. Hey, I appreciate that, Smooth. Yeah, Paul Hackett is Nathaniel Hackett's dad. Paul Hackett was offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And then when Joe Montana left for the Niners to prove that he still had the gas in the tank, he went to the Chiefs. And along with him went Paul Hackett to install Bill Walsh offense Midwest. And it worked, well, surprisingly well, considering. Unfortunately, he didn't get to, and I remember that game lost in the first round divisional playoffs. Montana didn't get to the Super Bowl. Everyone was rooting for him, but it was quite obvious that Bill Walsh pulled the trigger a little too early and should have given him another, 4 years, and then with the seeds of an extension. And so this person says, Jess, offensive line is the only red flag for me. How about
a pretty big red flag, though?
Is it a red flag or just that they're not calling the right passes? Maybe they should have been calling short passes.
Well, I still think that if you're going to put a less mobile quarterback up there, like I said, Wentz had numerous injury issues, so that could be pretty skeptical even bringing him in. McCoy, I think, had like a couple like bad injuries when I was with the Washington. So yeah, I would say the line is a huge issue. Again, the porous line is a reason as to why Rodgers is on IR, done for the season. So it is a really big red flag to have.
Yeah,
but I would try to focus on trying to get short passes, but also knowing who your receivers are. And but if the Jets want to contend, forget trying to trade for a quarterback. If they still want to win now, even without Aaron Rodgers in the fold, they should try to see if they can trade for an offensive lineman or get a big one in like free agency, because you can't get Jason Peters because he's now with the Seahawks.
Right. They couldn't get anybody. Hey, so I'm gonna
played forever. It seems like
I'm gonna let that one be the last one for now. I am going to abbreviate this because I'm not feeling well at this point. I'm going to go back, recharge, come back tomorrow, and we'll have Vinny back on, and we'll talk about. Hey, Vinny, you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and then the Michael Irvin thing?
I don't really know much about the Michael Irvin situation, though.
Okay, well, we'll pick another one. We have a plethora of topics. Yes. We might even talk about schools, not stadiums, the A's thing. Who knows?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of topics.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. So it's definitely a big flag. Do you have another team you think would be the best fit for Jameis? I love the Niners. Yeah, the Saints. Because I think that
the Saints, he could stay there. I mean, if Carr were to go down, I mean, Jameis is again.
That's why. Yeah. I think something's going to happen to Derek Carr. That is not wishful thinking. I think something is going to happen to Derek Carr because I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's the reason why the Saints wouldn't want to trade him. Like, it's the same reason. Like, they're not going to trade him for that very reason. And I think he's in a very good situation with the Saints. I highly doubt the Niners would trade for him unless Purdy would get hurt. And again, even then, I don't know if they'd want to go for Jameis. I think Jameis is perfectly fine where he is. I saw some people say also Andy Dalton, but he's with the Panthers, so I know for the fact that the Panthers don't want to trade him away.
Derek is if we take a look at Derek's injury history, this is what it looks like, folks. You can see it right there. He has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 injuries from 2014. That says 2017. That's leaving some out because that injury history is
abbreviated. It only ends up in 2017.
Yeah, unless he just wasn't injured after that. Let me see if that's the case.
I'm sure he's had injuries.
Latest injury status and updates. Derek Carr, and that's for fantasy football. And then he was 2017 through 2019. He was listed as questionable. 2 arms and a leg in 2019. 2020s, he hasn't been, not that noisy, but we can go from 2017 where the other one stopped and go forward. He was inactive and out with a back. Then the next year he was active but questionable. He was questionable for the 3 years there. He hasn't been in bad shape, but these little dinks and dunks, they add up,
Gotta be very careful.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta. Vinny said it right. You gotta be careful.
Now for the Raiders, like you had some stretches, like from 2018 to 2021, he started every single game for the Raiders.
Yeah.
In fact, in terms of entire tenure with the Raiders from 2014 to 2022, there's only 4 regular season games in which Carr did not start. 2016, when he was injured and McGloin played. 2017,
Boom, McGloin.
in EJ Manuel played. Don't forget, Connor Cook started for them in that playoff game.
I don't mean to boo you, Matt. I was just kidding.
And then 2022, they benched him in the last 2 weeks of the season instead for Jarrett Stidham. So Carr has been, say what you will about the Raiders and their infutility the last like 20 years. But one thing you cannot say is that they had a consistent, stable quarterback. He's a really quality leader for the Raiders.
That's true.
Like that's one thing you'll say. And guess what? Was he one of the best in the game? No, but he was a very, very stable, reliable leader for that team. And with so much uncertainty, he held things together. I'll always appreciate Carr for that.
Vinny will come back tomorrow, maybe. But thanks for doing this, Vinny.
Anytime.
Yeah. Hey, folks, subscribe to Zenny62. Bookmark OaklandNewsNowBlog.com and let me know what videos you want or done, how you want the news put. This is your time to order, your time to control. We'll see you, folks. That ends this broadcast. Vinny, you don't have to move a muscle. And